Hello crafters, it's Dawn here from Dawn's Inspirations. I wanted to share another file folder mini with you today, and this is file folder 6, and for this you're going to need one foolscap file folder and a freebie paper collection from a magazine. The one I'm using today is the Bow Bunny Country Garden collection, and this came free in the Scrapbook magazine issue 80. I'll put all the details of this and the measurements on my website, so you can find it there. I'll put the link at the bottom of the video here. So I'm just using a free paper collection. If a lot of you are watching this obviously after this magazine's been and gone, because some people have followed me and they're watching things from years ago, you can use any freebie paper collection. The collections that come in magazines tend to be on thinner paper, not very thick, and not the type you probably use in your scrapbooking. But I found for doing the file folders they're perfect for this, because they're the sort of thing we throw away and we wouldn't use in our scrapbooking, but by using them with file folders to make mini albums, it's a great way of us using them up. And so far now we've done 5 mini file folder projects. It seems to be a great mini series that you're all enjoying, and I'm quite enjoying coming up with some different ideas for you out of a file folder. So just shows you what you can make. So I'm going to use the paper collection from there, and then I'm using a couple of the craft magnets that we've used before, so just 2 of those to make the closure. So I'm going to make this one in a checkbook style. So to do that we're going to use the foolscap file folder. If you don't have a foolscap one and your measurements are slightly different, do not worry, you can still follow on, but your finished product might be a little bit smaller. So basically this is measuring 13.5 inches, and I'm going to cut this into 3 strips. So 3 equal strips, so they're going to be measuring 4.5 inches each one. So just line this up. That's the first one. So as I say, if you've got A4 you can still join in, so just cut yours in 3 equal strips. Okay, so they're all now matching. We've got 3 strips, so we need 1 for an outside cover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this on its reverse so I can't see the words. Okay, and I'm just going to burnish that score line that's there so we know where we're starting from as well. Okay, now with the long side of this, this is like your short side, this is your long side. So with the long piece at the bottom, I first of all want you to score this at 1 3/8. Just use the wider one, 1 3/8 and 1 7/8. And then it's going to score at 9.5, which is the natural score line of the file folder itself, and then again at 10 inches. So I'm not going to bother rescoring those. And then from this 10-inch mark to here needs to measure 7.5 inches. So I'm just going to bring my paper trimmer in and have this to measure 7.5 inches. So if I just fold this over and line this up, take my top flap away, and then I can just discard that piece. So then that's measuring right, so just put this to one side. So then when we fold these up, that is going to be the front cover of your album, so it resembles like a checkbook. Okay, we're going to put magnets on here for the closure. Alright, so that's your front cover. So pop that to one side, and now we're going to work on the next couple of pages. So again, I'm just going to burnish the score line, just so we know where we're starting from. So it needs to cut down, we need to cut on the long side, we need to cut this down again to 7.5 inches. So I've got the long side at the bottom, the short side at the top. So bring that in for your 7.5 inches, which is there. Oh, did I move that? No. Okay, put that to one side. So when we line that up, we've got our first score line, which is the natural score line of the file folder at 7.5 inches. So that's our natural score line in the file folder. And then we need to make the next one at 8 inches. Okay, and then we've just fold this over again. And then we need to make this side measure 7.5 inches. So just bring your trimmer in, line it all up, and we just take that tiny sliver off. Okay, so that's then the next page in our album. So that's going to fit inside there. So we're going to have a like stack the deck hinge system going on here. Okay, let's just push that in there, make sure that fits. That's it, so they're both measuring 7. Okay, so that's nicely lined up. And then we need the third page. So we'll do the same again. Get a nice burnish and cut this one down long side again. So slide it in, measuring 7.5. There, cut that piece off. So then when we pop that in our score fold, you've got your 7.5 inches, and then the next line we need is 7 3/4. Okay, and then what we're going to do is score on that 7 3/4. Make sure we've got that correct. And then we'll bring the paper trimmer in again. And we'll bring that in at the 7.5 mark again. Making sure it's all lined up. Flip that bit of paper back and trim that off. So that now is our 3 pages. So let's put those together. So that would go in there, and then that gives us 3 pages for our album. So let's get those stuck down, I think, first of all. So let's bring in a piece of double-sided tape I think I'm going to use on this. Now you could use wet glue for this, but I think double-sided tape will work better. So this is the start of the album. As I say, it's been a great little mini series, these file folder minis, and it just shows what you can make out of something that you've got in your house or in the office. You know, people have these file folders for projects in the office, and then when they've finished that project, they throw them in the recycling. But I know a few ladies have actually taken them out of the recycling bin, discarded the paper, and using the file folders now to make these great little mini albums. So I'm just going to line this up to stick this down. It's sticking to me. So I'm just making sure I've got this lined up. In fact, I might just bring it into the top of my scoreboard there, and then I know I've got it all level, which is another handy tip to do. So as you can see, I've got this folded back, and then I'm going to fold that one over. Okay, and that goes on the back of there. So it's like a stack the deck, but these two are actually the same size. But it's not a problem, because then what you do is just burnish your score lines. And where you had all those lines from the file folder at the back here on the spine, you're a bit concerned they're not going to take the strength. By doubling this up, they do. So it just eliminates that on that spine there. Okay, So let's go ahead and add the next one. I'm going to use a thinner piece of score tape for this one. Got some thinner one here. Just put that down the middle of there. This time I need to line this up in the centre. But I'm going to eyeball this. I can't get the tape off at the moment. Right, I'll just tuck that in. So I'm just going to, again, I'm going to line it up on the top here just to get it straight. If you don't feel confident about eyeballing it like I'm going to now, you can pencil line it first. I think I feel quite happy with that. So this time it's going to have to go back on itself, so I'm going to have to hold that still and then lay it back that way this time. So then I'll burnish that with my bone folder. So as you see, I've got a gap on that side, and then when I open it that side, I've got a gap on that side. So now that resembles what I'm looking for, which is the checkbook style. Okay, so that's all fitting in nicely. So I'm going to add a couple of magnets to this, as I said. I'm going to use the really small magnets for this because it's not holding a lot of weight. So this is the worst bit, is trying to get them off. So there's one. And there's two. That was quite painless. Oh, I spoke far too soon, didn't I? They're stuck together now. I knew it wouldn't be easy. It never is with magnets, but there we go. Right, so these, that's one. I've lost the other one. Where's the other one gone now? Has it gone on? Oh, it's over here. Right, so let's get one stuck down. So one I'm going to put originally on this part here. So what I'm going to do is just line up roughly a centre. So I'm using my pencil. So that's 4.5 inches. So I need to come in 2 1/4. So I'm probably looking about there. So I'll just bring a little bit of double-sided tape and pop that on there, not too near the edge, but not too far away. Take that tape off, take a magnet and get that stuck on there. And then I'm going to use a wider bit of tape to hold it still. Some of you have done my online workshops, you've seen that we've already used the magnetic or the magnets in crafting, so you'll know how to attach them, but for some of you that haven't, so I'm just going to stick that round, but when I actually attach my paper I'll take that backing off. But now I want to get this other piece stuck under here. So I've laid it under there, and I'm just going to hope it sticks. Is it going to stick to it? Or is it not? It should do. You've got to get, that's it, you've got to get your north and your south correct. So that's in the right position. So now I need to pull this one off and make this one stick. So again, I'm going to bring a tiny piece of this in, because now I know I've got this the right way round. And I'm going to just attach this to my magnet. It's not very easy doing craft magnets. You get a fantastic result when you've got them on a project, but they are a bit of a pain to stick. I've tried lots of different ways and I still find that every time I do it it's slightly different. But you can get the adhesive backed ones, which are great, but they're often double the price, and to me I think that's a waste of money. So, right, so I'm just going to stick that there for now. Make sure I've got the stick right. Yes, I've got the stick right. I'm just looking down the side now and I'm seeing it's in the right position. So So that's now stuck there, and then I will go ahead again with a wider bit of tape and stick on there. Now the reason you probably say is, why haven't I stuck it onto here, this side? Now because that's stuck on there, if I stick that on there with this thinner paper, there is a tendency, because the paper is thinner, that it might wear and tear the paper. So that is why I've stuck my magnet on the inside here, because then I've got the cardstock and the paper next to it, so it just makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so I've just got that bit more between them, if you like. So even though that one's got paper, this one will have cardstock and paper, so it shouldn't wear the same. That's my closure now on there. So the next job I need to go ahead and do is distress all my edges. I'm using green here. I've got pill paint, so I'm going to use some green distress ink here to go around my edges, and then I'm going to cut all my papers according and get this decorated, and then I'm going to come back to you. So I'll see you shortly. I'll just get all this decorated up, and then I'll come back and show you what I've been up to. See you in a minute.